At some time in the not-too-distant past, a town planner, armed only with paper and a pencil, laid siege to Hart Bay's natural assets. Roads were ploughed through wetlands, and houses slapped over roving dune fields. Meandering rivers were straightened, wetlands were hung out to dry, and mountain feet were trampled under estates. The siege of Hart Bay was effortless, and to the victor the spoils. House Bay. The sheer magnitude of the planning errors would suggest that the planner never actually visited the valley, and merely superimposed the two-dimensional grid over the inconvenient lumpiness of a valley surrounded by mountains and threaded by a river. The developers must have been pleased, for they are always hungry for land, and the planner had provided a feast. First to go was the enormous conveyor belt of sand that extended from Hart Bay to Sandy Bay along the east flank of the Kabonkelberg. Traditionally, sand that was deposited by the sea on Hart Bay's beach was blasted by southeasters over the saddle and onto the naked Atlantic rocks, forming Sandy Bay. The planner clocked the wheels of this giant sandbelt with townhouses and a sprinkling of single residential urban, and in the process severely impacted the ecological functioning of two bays. The time frame is uncertain, but the prognosis for Sandy Bay is poor. It will, somewhat ironically, be rendered naked. Hart Bay's prognosis is more complicated. The motor of this giant sandbelt, the southeaster, is still running smoothly, and the sand is still being offloaded on the beach. Neither process can be stopped, even by a planner, and consequently the sand is piling up on Hart Bay's beach. Every summer the southeaster rallies the sand and drives it resolutely against the brick-and-mortar ramparts of the beach estate. Every summer the city has to bring in the big guns, bulldozers, to round up the breakaway dunes that have taken occupation of roads, public open spaces, and residential homes. Incredibly, there are currently applications for residential and hotel developments within this dune field, despite the rising tsunami of sand. The Beach Club is Hart Bay's own delinquent estate that is alternately threatened by winter floodwaters and then scoured by summer southeasters. The residents of this ill-conceived and miraculously approved development at the mouth of the Hart Bay River are having to dig deep into their own pockets to mitigate against environmental damage. Despite annual chastising by the forces of nature, a developer has recently applied to expand the estate in line with the planner's mindless map, and has proposed the twin insults of a guest lodge on the beach below the existing high water mark and residential units within a wetland below the 10-year floodline. But community-based organizations are uniting and gathering momentum in the fight against the senseless avalanche of applications for developments within dune fields, wetlands, and pristine mountain fenbos. It is their objective to use their collective experience with previous planning problems to mold the city's proposed integrated zoning scheme into one that includes the wrinkles, faults, and sensitive areas of Hart Bay. If successful, then they will provide a new plan, a plan that will allow both for further development and for the preservation of existing ecological assets. This will bring an end to the 52-year siege of Hart Bay and will hopefully usher in a new era in which city officials and local residents are in agreement over which assets should be preserved and how to ensure appropriate and sustainable development. Developers will in turn be encouraged to add beauty spots and not blemishes to one of South Africa's best known but sadly scarred faces.